And then we've got some other people from the infrastructure that help with that. Jessica, for example, from the curriculum team, she helps with the training as well. Peter helps as the curriculum manager, getting the online courses to make it easier for us to help deliver content to the different communities around the area. So the focus for this community trainer BoF though is in not regards to recruiting people, but to show the process on what we use for creating the labs. And then also hopefully look at improving the labs and the lab environment that we use. So we do have the slide. No one told me about that. So this is what we've got as our agenda. So we're going to be talking about the current state of the community trainer program. After that, we'll ask a representative from RIPE to come up and talk about the Atlas probes. Some of you may already know about that, and that will be, it's moving by itself. Thank you for that. And then we'll move on to the APNIC training lab and hopefully have some time to talk about how you can contribute to the APNIC blog. So in regards to the community trainer program, as you can see from here, when we first started this year, we only had 7 community trainers that were contracted to help with the delivery of programs throughout the regions. So we had 2 from Bangladesh, 1 from India, 1 from Indonesia, 1 from the Philippines, 1 from Taiwan and Vanuatu. So the past few months we've been very busy making sure that we were able to cover the different regions a little bit better. What we were asking for was people that had operational experience and were able to deliver in a manner that was easy for people to pick up on those skills. So you also needed some training skills as well. So from here we can see that we have 21 community trainers now. Can you go to that link? Now, I've had the privilege of being able to work with at least 10 of those community trainers. I haven't worked with all of them, but it's quite good. And if you go to this link here, that will give a short bio of each of the community trainers. Oh, is that ready? Take a photo of that quick and join that on your phones. Because we'll be doing, if we get time, we'll be doing a Kahoot at the end. It's more of a poll. You won't get a prize. But this is one of the tools that we're starting to use in the labs and the workshops, and the people that have worked with me will know this tool or have worked with Jessica. Have you used this lately, Jessica? No. Okay. Have you brought up the community trainer one? Those people who are watching remotely, you can also go to that Kahoot and participate in the poll as well, if you would like to do that. Yeah, open that one. Scroll down. So for those people who are interested in becoming a community trainer, this is how you can apply. But down the bottom is a listing of the 21 community trainers here. So you can go in and have a look at all those, and there are a few in this room at the moment. So if you want to, actually the majority of them are in this room. They're doing moral support for me, which is good. Can you go back to the slide? So as you can see from the graphic that they're spread out throughout the region, which makes it easier for us. Now what that means from my point of view, less of a workload, because it's hard to be able to be in all these regions at the one time. So we can utilise the community trainers to help with that. And it also means that Tashi and I don't need to be at the same location at the same time. So what that means is that we've had, in this case, 24 workshops that we've used community trainers in this year since January. And we've had 3 workshops actually led by the community trainers, because we just didn't have the facilities for an APNIC representative to do that. Then we've done the training in 15 economies and at least 17 community trainers involved in the program. Okay. with that in mind, I would like to hand over to Leah from RIPE to talk about the Atlas probe. So you'll need to change slides to the other one, please.
Hello, everyone. I'm Leah Hestina from the RIPE NCC. And today I'm going to talk to you shortly about the RIPE Atlas from the RIPE Atlas ambassador point of view. So I take it that everyone here knows about the RIPE Atlas already? Is there anyone that doesn't know about the RIPE Atlas? Okay, so everyone knows about the RIPE Atlas already. That's good. Short introduction about the RIPE Atlas. It's an internet-wide measurement system that consists out of thousands of vantage points around the world. And yeah, it's a collaborative effort. That's why we need all the help from everyone to be the volunteer of the RIPE Atlas and host the probes within their network. Otherwise, it will not work, right? So there are three ways to access the RIPE Atlas. First is through the web interface, and then there's the API, and also through CLI. So what does it take to use the platform? You need to have an account and credit. And there are so many ways to earn credits. You can host a probe, or you can become a RIPE Atlas ambassador. And yeah, there's so many. You can just ask us for some voucher. And then if you're not a host, for example, it's not a problem, because there's some kind of misconception with people that they need to host a RIPE Atlas probe just to be able to use the platform. That's not the case. Anyone who has an account, they can use the platform already. You just need to get credits. When you created your account, you will get automatically some credits, I think around 100,000 credits. And if you need more, you can always ask us, and we'll just give you some credits and to get you started. For the APNIC Community Trainer, we created a voucher so that they can use when you want to give a demo or a training about the RIPE Atlas, you can use this voucher to give away to people who's attending your training. So there are several visualization which is already there that you can use when you promote the RIPE Atlas. For example, this is a map with ping measurement, and this is also from our ping measurement. It shows the list of the probes and the ASN where the vantage point is coming from, and it also shows the RTT time. And then this one is a visualization about from the result of a traceroute measurement. So if you are in a specific country, for example, and you want to know where, in which ASN we would like to have more coverage, in this link, you can see, like, this is, for example, in Thailand, you have a bunch of lists of ASN that still require some probes. You can go to this link and change the country code into your own country code, and then you have the same list with different ASN, of course. The other way to see the RIPE Atlas is to see where the location of the probes. Like from RIPEstat, you will be able to see the kind of exact location of the RIPE Atlas. So for example, if you would like to put probes within certain island or something that you know you will be able to put the probes there, you can go to RIPEstat and see if there's any probe there. And the right-hand side, it's quite interesting. This is the IXP country JEDI, and here we will be able to show the path, if the path is staying within the country between probes in that specific country. In this case, it's quite interesting because it's all green, which means the path of the probes within those ASN that has probes are staying within the country. Because I think that's what everyone wants, right? So there's also the RapAtlas virtual anchors. We have been having difficulties with the logistic of the RapAtlas anchor, I mean. And right now we have the virtual anchor, which should solve the logistic issues of sending the hardware to some countries. At the moment, there are 13 virtual anchor in APNIC region, and they are spread in 4 countries. I think they're in Tokyo, Singapore, Indonesia, and I'm not sure which one is the last one. But yeah, if you can help us find someone who can deploy RapAtlas virtual anchor in their machine, in their country, that would be great. So we have a joint effort with the APNIC, and we are very grateful with everything that APNIC is done to support the RapAtlas project in deploying the probes within the region and also sponsoring the deployment of RapAtlas anchors. And as you might know already, the internet measurement related hackathon. And now with via the community trainers, it will be really, it's a great initiation, I think. So we would like to hear your feedback, because you're the person who are, meeting all these people. You get feedback also directly from them and how you experience in, talking about the RapAtlas, for example. Let us know, and if there's anything that we can do to help also, yeah, let us know. And on Thursday, there's this tutorial that we would like you to join as well at 11. I think it's here in the grand ballroom. So this is the thing that I would like to talk to you about, how to get your community involved. These are just some ideas on how, to get your community involved. Next to the, using the RapAtlas for monitoring or troubleshooting or, measuring your network, you can also be the person to stimulate and, ask these students and researchers to do scientific research. At the moment, there's some papers already, and they are listed in Wikipedia. You can go there and see a number of research papers. You can join the webinars, the RapAtlas webinars. We organize 4 times a year RapAtlas webinar. Anyone can join that webinar. And what's a better way to connect with people and join a hackathon, right? I mean, it's a great opportunity to meet someone, to exchange ideas, and make something that can be useful for the community. But the thing is, there's some kind of tendency that people need that little bit of stimulants or push to be engaged with the community and to join the hackathon. So yeah, and organize meetup. It's also a good opportunity to talk to people, to share your, your knowledge and exchange ideas with other people. And this is also one of the most important thing with the RapAtlas. It's in English, and we know that there's a language barrier. So what would be great if you could, I don't know, write an article or about on how you use the RapAtlas, or write some kind of guidelines on about the RapAtlas in your own local language and share it in certain medias or on GitHub. That's where we keep this content. It's like it will be the key to this service, right, for other people. Become RapAtlas ambassador or a sponsor. And of course, this is already. And yeah, and the last but not least is, if you know someone living in an exotic island or location, it would be great to have these probes there. And I think that's more or less the end of my short presentation. If you have any question.
It's not working. Okay. It's Yasir, APNIC Community Trainer. So if you can add some video tutorial to just share with the participant, so maybe it would be easy for the participants to at least know about the RapAtlas, how it works, and how they can do measurements. And like, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you for your question. At the moment, we have some videos already available online, like the recording of the webinar and also introduction about the RIPE Atlas, a graphic video. So they are available online. But if you have a suggestion on certain topics or how we could do it better, differently, yeah, feel free to let me know.
Just to add to that, I do some demos. This past few months we've been handing out the RIPE Atlas. So when I was in the Maldives, I actually wrote a tutorial for the engineers there and I gave out the Atlas, and there's a bug with your map. It shows the Atlas out in the middle of the ocean near the Maldives.
Okay, let me let me talk to you about that later. Yes.
Hello, I am Praneeth from India. And first of all, thank you for the wonderful presentation. And I just have a comment to add. So as you mentioned, some people are quite hesitant to speak in person. So mailing list is a great way there. We do it all the time at IETF. And I believe, I'm not sure if there's a mailing list, but if there's one, I would definitely like to know about it.
Oh yes, actually that's also that's the thing that I forgot to put here. We would like to invite you to all join the mailing list, because that's indeed the place to to be and share your opinion. Or sometimes people in the mailing list, people reluctant to say something because they thought that you're just new to RIPE, knowing the platform, so they have the tendency not to express themselves, which is a pity, because I'm sure that everyone is welcome. Everyone can say their experience about the RIPE Atlas.
That's okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. If you have any more questions, are you going to the opening ceremony? So you can also offline later throughout the conference, we do have some RIPE Atlas here that we want to give out to people, but we need to record your details, because don't just take it and put it in the bottom drawer or leave it on the desk somewhere. We want you to actually connect it up. And one of those exotic places, I took these two with the Maldives. So they hooked up an extra three RIPE Atlases there. Can we flip back? Oh, thank you. So what we're going to talk about now, we have about 25 minutes left, and that's the actual equipment that we use in the lab environment. So at different points, some people have attended the workshop and looked at that, but essentially what we have is a small Intel NUC. Depending on which version that we've got with us, we've got an older one that's the old Intel, it's just called a NUC, whereas the newer one is the Skull Canyon, which has got more memory, and a little bit better processor. The generic way that we tend to configure it is that we have an access point using the power over Ethernet injector connected to the local interface card in the actual NUC. Now, the model of NUC that we have only has one interface card in it, so we then use a USB device to then connect to the upstream or the internet, and then we bridge that together. So that's what we tend to have. Now, for your own lab environment, as long as you've got something similar, that should be fine. You can build your own lab. But if you do want to get exactly what we have for the newer equipment, and thanks to Jamie, this is his price list. So this is how much it would cost you in Australian dollars. And this is going back beginning of 2017, was it? Or end of 2017? End of 17. So the price has obviously gone down, and there's now a newer model which gives you up to 64 gigs of RAM. But I've heard that the capability or the processing is not as good. So the reason why we're using the larger Wi-Fi access point is that it allows for more people to connect. We do have a smaller one, and that works well for about 20 people, but when we start getting larger groups, it makes it a little bit more congested. So that's what we use for the hardware side of things. From the software side of things, we tend to use open source software or free rather than commercial software. So, however, there is an exception to that, and that's because VirtualBox doesn't support nested virtualization for Intel processors. In May this year, VirtualBox released a version of their software that does nested virtualization, but for AMD processors. So not everyone has an AMD processor, so that's why we use the VMware Workstation. But everything else is open source and available for you to use for free, in theory. So that's a quick overview of the software that we use. So for our networking labs, the virtual routers, we use DynaIPS and DynaGen. For the more complex ones, like the software-defined networking labs, we actually need to hook that into the VirtualBox and GNS3 for that. For our complex IPv6 labs, we use the LXC containers for some of the services that we run on IPv6. And then to give out to the attendees, we have a VMware Workstation virtual machine that has nested virtualization in there with all this pre-built software to make it a little bit easier. So in some of the earlier labs, we would get the attendees to build up this environment, which just takes too much time out of a 3-day workshop. So that's why we have that nested virtual machine environment there. The past week, I've been experimenting with creating scripts to run these labs in Azure. So that way it makes it a little bit easier for, so some of the attendees, their laptops cannot run this virtual environment, so that makes it difficult. So if we've got a fast enough internet speed, we can just put it in a cloud instance. I also have ESXi, the free edition, running on one of the NACs that allows me to spin up 7 machines using the VMware Workstation and give the attendees that have lower spec laptops access to those virtual environments that way. So what we need to do is that currently there's 2 full-time trainers at APNIC. Currently we have to maintain this equipment as well as do the workshops and our normal day jobs. That makes it difficult. What we would like is help from you, the community, to help with that. So this is aimed specifically at community trainers who are already there. If you do want to participate in the project, apply to become a community trainer. If not, send an email and make suggestions. I'm happy for you to do that. But what we want is to be able to basically future-proof our labs, make the setup easier, make it available for everyone. If it's open source, we can give it out to anyone, create some sort of repo and be able to then share that with the community. So that way when the attendees finish the workshop, they've got access to the material and they can practice. Because that's where I would like to take it with the workshop. It's no longer just sitting in front of the computer for 3 days and going back to your day job. People want to learn all the time, and that's why Peter's been involved with the APNIC Academy, getting that up so we can reference that. So as a project, some suggestions, open to suggestions. This is just an idea of what we can do is start formalising our lab environment. So that way, as community trainers, if we ask you to do a workshop, it's just a matter of downloading the repo and you have a virtual environment running in your workspace to be able to practice with. Or you could then fix it or add extra resources to that. Because Tashi and I, we're not experts at anything or everything. So we tend to rely on your operational skills, and things are changing all the time in IT, and you've got to stay up to date. So this is where I've just jotted down a few items to think about. So we need to think about where we're going to store this. Are we going to make it public to everyone, or are we going to keep it private? But we do need to be able to share it in some format. What sort of operating system are we familiar with? Our attendees, we give out the Linux environment because it's free. It's also easier to containerize, and it's not as big a footprint on our equipment. However, not everyone uses Linux. People use Windows or Mac OS. Starting to get more people using Linux, which is good. So then we need to think about the automation and the virtualization, so that way when we need to create the environment for a new workshop, It's a matter of a clean environment rather than taking the equipment from a finished workshop, using it in another workshop, and that's where you can start having errors or anomaly, I can never say it, but strange things happening in your network. So can I get you to bring up the Kahoot? There's no prizes in this, but one of the tools that we use for revision throughout the workshop is Kahoot. It's basically a quiz tool, and it asks you some questions and then you answer A, B, C or D. That gives us, the instructors and the community trainers, an idea on whether the attendees understood the concept. I'm using it differently today, but it will also expose you to it. I'm just using it as a poll to see, based on those prompts I put on the screen, what you think about the project and what we could go for the project. So if you can go to the website up the top here, www.kahoot.it, and put in this game code. And yes, you can make up names if you would like. You don't have to put your real name there. You can do it on your mobile phone. You can do it on your laptop. You can download the app if you want on your phone, or you can use a web browser. And you can do it remotely if there's anyone watching from Zoom. So in this particular poll or quiz, there's about 10 questions. Now, I did need to have one question at least to score you. But normally with this tool, what you do, it's basically you've got to get the correct answer, but the quickest person to get the correct answer gets the most points. So you lose points the longer it takes you to answer the question. But you also get no points if you get it wrong. And so you get different leaderboards. And so the attendees tend to like this. They become more and more competitive with that. Has everyone joined? Now, I will mention that when it displays the answer, it has the answers A, B, C, D on the screen. On your device will just be the colour. So you just match the colour. Are we ready to go? Next. So you get 20 seconds per question. Question number 1, are you interested in helping? This is a hard one. Yes, no, or unsure. So from here, we can see that the majority are saying yes. So if we were revising a topic and everyone chose the wrong answer, means that I would have to go back over that topic. Next question. So that's good that you'll have to email me directly because I haven't set up a mailing list, unfortunately. And now you can see that you get a scoreboard. Well done, Clay. Next question, repository solution. Where are we going to keep this if we're going to start doing this project? Is it going to be SharePoint, GitHub, Google Drive, or private data store, or some other? I've had to put that in because that's what we use at APNIC. There you go. I'm open to solutions. So I'm open to solutions. That's why I'm doing this. It's just to get you to start thinking about that. Because as I said, we're at Brain Trust. As community trainers, I'm relying on your operational experience to see what is best for everyone, okay? And obviously, one solution will not be suitable for everyone, but we've got to choose the best one. The preferred operating system for the NUC or the lab environment. So we've got Ubuntu, FreeBSD, Windows or other. And the person who I aimed the FreeBSD at is not even in the room. That's annoying. Everyone's laughing. They all got that. So that's a bit of a shout out. Yeah. So we've got the 16 being for Ubuntu. No one said OS2 Warp or anything like that. Anyway, so we'll stick with Ubuntu. Now, no one picked up that I was saying 16.04 as our operating system. What version's out there at the moment? 19, isn't it? Yeah, LTS is 18, but there is 19. The reason why we're running 16 is because that works with Dynips and the other software that we tend to use regularly. So again, for the project, if you know how to fix that problem, I'm open to suggestions. Next question. Because it did work at one point. From an automation point of view, which one would you like to use? Ansible, Salt, Bash scripts, or other? And there's thousands of them out there. I only had to restrict them to a little bit because I'm restricted to 4 answers. That's why I've got it other. So that picks up everything else there. So majority is going for Ansible, but there's the other. So I'm definitely open for discussion for the other. I'm not an expert on any of these, but I tend to fiddle with them. So next one. Question number 5. From a virtualization software point of view, which one would you prefer to use? VirtualBox, VMware, KVM, or other? Oh, VirtualBoxing, VMware, neck and neck. Ooh, that's good. Next one. From a container solution, which container software would you prefer? Docker, LXC, or other? Docker. Oh, I'm not a big fan of Docker, but yes, we can move to Docker. I'm looking at that at the moment. Next one. Which location would you like your lab? If you, as a community trainer, had to set up a lab, would you want it in the cloud, locally available in the room, on the APNIC Academy, or other? Local. Yeah. Okay. Move on. If we needed a cloud platform, which one would you prefer? AWS, that is Amazon Web Services, Azure, Google Cloud, SharePoint, no, other. That was for Jamie. AWS. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. How many are part of the AWS Partner Program? Because you know if you join that, you can join that for free if you've got a business name, and that gives you software access. So, next. From a scripting language point of view, which one would you prefer? You've got Bash, Python, and I think Golang or other. Golang's a little bit more than a scripting language. So Python, okay. I thought that was the case. Next. And this is the last one. Which area are you willing to help with? So based on the project, there'll be multiple areas. So you've got the standard operating environment, the scripting and automation, the virtualization, or all of the areas. So focus on what you're comfortable with. And I'm sure there's other areas I could have broken it down to, but there was only 4 answers. And that's a good spread. That's what we want in a project. So good spread of skill sets, okay? So if you are interested, I will post something to the community trainers list on how we're going to proceed with this, but it's just an idea to talk about what we do with our lab equipment, what software we use in the lab equipment, and how we can improve the experience for you as a community trainer as well as the attendees. And hopefully we can work together to make it better. Thank you for that. Can you go back to the slides? Now, the last part that we would like you to help with is to help with the operational experience that you've got, because Tashi and I, we're now in a different sort of role. We're no longer operational. So things are changing in the industry all the time. And to share that knowledge with the community, we would like you to talk about your experiences in a blog. So I would like to invite someone from our communications team, Robbie, to talk about what you can do to help with writing blogs.
Thanks, Warren. Hello again. My name's Robbie. For those who are the newcomers earlier today, you know me. And for a lot of you here as well, you know me. First off, a big thank you for those who've already contributed to the blog. We have a few here already. So thank you very much. You guys get it, and we thank you. So the blog, as I was saying at the newcomer session today, the blog isn't about APNIC communication. It's more so about community communication. So it's open for those in the community to share all their great ideas with the rest of the community. As I was mentioning earlier, not everyone can come to these sessions, whether it be NOGs in every economy or regional internet registry meetings, to see all these great presentations, but a blog they can log on to each day and find a lot of great information. No doubt a lot of you guys subscribe to a lot of great news sources and blogs, and that's where you get a lot of your troubleshooting ideas. The biggest one would be probably YouTube. I mean, who hasn't done a YouTube search on how do I do this? So that's what the blog is also trying to replicate in the technical sphere that we all work in. So the services that we offer, I guess, that Warren was alluding to is you're not alone in writing and contributing something to the blog. As some of you guys can attest, we're here to help try and tease that story from out of you guys. We know that you're very hard pressed for time, and sometimes all that you can really do is get down some notes. And that's all that we really want. We just want story ideas, and then we can help you create the story. So whether it be taking 10, 15 minutes to have a Skype conversation with myself or another one of my colleagues, or just sending us some dot points, and then we can start to fill out the blog post for you guys. The benefit is that you can also use these blog posts when you're in your trainings as well. You can refer to them instead of having to spend 20 minutes, 30 minutes on actually trying to explain step by step by step. You can say, hey guys, if you want to know more about this, I've already written a blog post about it. If you have any comments about it, put it down at the bottom and I'll answer that afterwards as well. And that's been great with a lot of our how-to blog posts, is we're trying to tag them to get that discussion going and to, you know, keep up with updated preferences and operating systems and whatnot. So yeah, our services here, we'd love your help with, as I said, getting the story ideas. That's the biggest thing for us, just having story ideas. If you come across anything that is novel, and that can be also in the workshops, you might also find that from your attendees, that they might have come across something just perplexing, but they found a solution. You're like, wow, that's an awesome solution. I'd never thought of it that way. Try and encourage them as well to reach out to us and get them to share their story, so the whole community can learn from you guys and from everyone else within it. So As I said, my name's Robbie, Robbie at apnic.net. You can also get in touch with us through Tashi and Warren and Adley and Peter and anyone else through APNIC. We're here to help. We're here to help you tell your story, whether it's be through an interview. I'm also going to be here for the rest of the week. I can have a chat with you here and now. We can do a recording. I can write up the story, send it back to you. You can review it, make sure you're happy with what's written, and then we'll publish it. And it's all under your name. You'll have a byline, attribution. We can even link to your blog posts. I see Imtiaz in the back there. He has a blog going. We're also looking to repost content as well. So if you've got something, let us know of your own blog or LinkedIn blogs. And we'll follow those. And if we think it's really relevant and great, we'll ask you if we can repost it. So, yeah, please do get in touch and share your stories. Thanks.
Thank you for that. So we've actually finished early, so you'll get to that bus after all. Unless you want another Kahoot, I've got plenty there. I've even got an Aussie one. As some people have seen, I do an Aussie one, and I give out Vegemite as a prize. So maybe that's... yeah, according to Chihu, it's not. According to me, it's the bee's knees. It's really good. So, any questions? No? But if you want to go through...
Yeah, for the record, this is Praneeth from India. And I just have a small question. So as someone who is a young professional, just 2 to 3 years in the IT field or any technical field, how do I get involved, and is there much scope for me, or I need a lot of industry experience and then become a community trainer?
We're actually after... At the moment, if you had a look at the community trainers, did you notice something about the gender inequality? So we are after the female community trainers. So if you are available, we can do a mentoring to help get your skills to that level.
There is no age limitation?
No age limitation. Look at me, I'm too old.
Thank you.
Or you're talking about young. I've been trying to encourage my daughter. I actually taught her when she was 2 years old all the insides of a computer. She could recite them. So there's no age limit from my point of view, as long as you can do it.
Hi, this is Imtiaz. I'm one of the community trainers of APNIC. I run the network security workshop. And just to share the experience that regarding the lab, we, for honeypots and for security automations, we use cloud. We spin up 61 VMs. So we are only in cloud.
Depending on the workshop, we do.
Yeah,
But that's why I put cloud in there, because I come
you
from...
just need stable internet connection. That's it. The environment is there.
Yeah, I come from a managed service provider background, and so depending on what the customer is willing to pay for, I've done on-prem, our own data center, and also Azure and AWS. So yes, we do the same for our workshop, what works best.
Okay.
And that's what I'm trying to do, is get a standard so it makes it easier for anyone.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Awal from Bangladesh. So I just quickly want to make a comment about this. So we have a mailing list, community trainers at apnic.net. Don't forget to send your queries, whatever you need. Send. It's a very helpful group of people there. They want to share. They want to help each other. So don't think that you are isolated. Utilize this email which I again repeat, community trainers at apnic.net. That would be a very good way of interacting with the community trainers. Thank you.
And we give out that email list to our attendees of the workshops. So the idea is, as community trainers, you can use your operational experience to answer people's questions. And that also gets you thinking about, I never thought about doing it that way or that way. So it's also helpful from there.
Sorry, I forgot to mention in my presentation that we've got topics up there on IPv6, BGP and security and the how-to guides. And for those who have been training, they'll recognise this, that even though you think the topic may be basic and even though you think the topic may have already been covered on the internet, some and most of the time it hasn't been covered on the internet. So if you have a basic knowledge, it's worth writing it down to add to this collection of how-tos that we've created, because that can really save you in your workshops, I imagine, as well, to just say, there's the basic stuff. Particularly after day one, you say, okay, for homework, there's some basic how-to blog posts. That should get you ready for day two as well. So if you do have a basic understanding, particularly for the younger generations as well, to get involved in this, it's worth trying to get that down on paper and share it through the community. Thanks.
Well, as Robbie just mentioned, I was actually wondering and asking just from the beginning, why don't we have an IoT here? I understand this covers a lot of IoT, but I feel we can have more IoT. Yeah, just a comment.
It comes back to what our members want. And so based on what our members want, we can do that. And we do have talks from time to time, like last APNIC46, we had a few topic talks about IoT. So Jonathan Brewer, one of the contractors, did some talks there about security of IoT and IoT in general. But there could be that option in the future. If our members want it, we will deliver the workshops that will support that, as long as we're not in direct competition with our members. Yes. So, in regards to the lab project, I'll send out email to the community trainers mail group, so that way we can then start looking at formulating our project. In regards to those people who would like to join the program, the community trainers program, there's a brochure here, and there's also the website that I showed the link to where you can apply to become a community trainer. But you can find out more details about that. So you're welcome to grab these, and I'll need to put the mic down or someone can hand these out for me. Just hand those out. But apart from that, thank you for your time. Don't forget that we've got some ripe atlas that we want to give out over the next 3 days. So we need to get, if you can provide a business card or some details of where you're going to put it. Now, it doesn't necessarily need to be put into a business network, because you may need to have appropriate approval. You can put it in a stable connection from your house or something like that. So thank you for your time, and see you tonight at the opening dinner maybe.